Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney. We got a fast main track. We're back on the turf. The turf course listed is good.
That's right. We did have a lot of rain. In fact, yesterday mornings we were off the turf, but the sun came out and it actually turned out to be a beautiful day yesterday. So we're back on the turf. There's actually only 3 scheduled turf races as it is, but we've got a really good card coming up tomorrow. So good to kind of keep an eye on how those races are going today and listed as good.
It's Friday the 13th. That's
Is.
lucky for some, not for others. Let's see how lucky it is for Acacia because today starts the Beat the Expert again.
That's right. We're starting it back up. It will be every Friday. We're going to rotate. So next week will be Ron or Jason and so forth. And then somebody else will get to be in the hot seat. But I'm kicking it off as far as the championship meet does go. So you can go and enter on our Facebook page or on the Gulfstream Park website. It's under contests as far as Beat the Expert. And let us know if you're playing. If you pick more winners than me, you have a chance to win one of those Beat the Expert polo shirts.
Yeah, and always keep in contact. We love when we beat you or you beat us, and it's fun to know how if you're playing along. And let's show you the wager. Go ahead. What do you
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it seems like on Beat the Expert Day, we have more second place finishes than everything. So good luck to you if you're playing. I've had a couple people tweet about it already, and it's also National Day of the Horse.
National Day of the Horse. So we got a lot going on, and there's one other wager where we show the wages. They're betting 3 to 5 that Acacia and I do not crack up by the end of this show. So that's the odds
that's
they
going
set
out the window.
They set their odds upstairs. So I'm going to try and do this one without cracking up. So race number 1, we got the super high 5.
Yep.
We have a pretty nice carryover, almost $4,000. And look at the pick 6 is already over 300,000.
Yeah, that's been going strong. There was one single alive in the last race yesterday, as we had a 50-to-1 shot in the sequence. Il Ferrone there get the big win. So we'll see what happens today. That starts on race number 5 at the 10-race card. And building up, as we said, 5 stakes tomorrow, 4 of them graded stakes. So hopefully that'll carry over, and you'll have a lot of good opportunities for tomorrow's card as well as today's.
And we're going to start it off, of course, with a early pick 5 in case she's got a ticket she wants to show.
I do. So hopefully this is where Beat the Expert is going to go well, and hopefully we'll make some money as well. So I'm using 3 horses early on. The 2 Lady Noella, taking the early money for Kathleen O'Connell. Race number 2. Got 2 horses in there, class dropper for Brian Lynch, as well as a Jason Service, Irad Ortiz runner. I think you can just never leave that pair off. I did end up singling in race number 3, a little bit hesitantly, but trying to keep things affordable. Creative Award, I thought, was really the horse to beat for Bobby DeBona and Irad Ortiz as well. Going 3 deep, we have a nice 2-year-old race coming up in race 4 I'm looking forward to. And then we wrap things up with a maiden claiming in race 5. So I've got 3 horses in there as well.
Yeah, we pretty much agree, except for the one, there's 7 at Bobby DeBona. We've got a stat we'll show you on that a little later on. So with that said, the first race is going to be a mile on the main track, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. And I think we both, I started with Look for More. You have it in second, but you wanted to go back and show this horse's last race.
I did. Well, this horse is going to get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. From her last race at Gulfstream Park West last time out, she was the number 7 that day for Jose Pinchin. And the biggest thing about this one is that she took a giant step forward. I know they tried the blinkers 2 starts back, and that didn't work out, and she's still a little bit green here for sure, and a little bit late switching leads, but all in all, I thought that she was dueling with Coffee Futures, who won the whole time, and she kept on pretty gamely last time out.
Yeah, I think she's going to run well. You saw she had it on top of the ticket. She's making a local return. She rallied to finish. You saw it there, beating that neck. That was going that 2-turn mile across town. Jose Pinchin, and it's Irad Ortiz, but I could understand having the number 2 Lady Noella on top of your ticket, who's going back to the dirt. Showed some speed on the turf.
Yeah, she did, and the addition of blinkers, I think, really helped her show some more speed in her last couple of races, so I think that that's pretty key. As far as looking pedigree-wise, she's by Treasure Beach. The dam was never won, but was running exclusively on the turf, but the only other sibling was a 4-time dirt sprint winner, so there's some dirt pedigree there, too, and plus her only dirt race was against a little bit tougher in her very first start. So I'll take a stab with this one for good connections as well, and Paco Lopez been on a roll, too.
Yeah, Kathleen's about 20% with horses going from, turf to dirt, and we both used the number 6 at Dixieland Humor, who's dropping a level today. I think that's a horse you put on your try or super. We'll go to race number 2. This one is back on the turf today, a mile into 16th. Maiden claim is 3 and up, $20,000. Nice full field as always here. And both of us went with the number 1 Wrote the Piece, who's dropping to this 20 level after facing maiden special weight competition in its 2 previous previous outings, those were against maiden special weight competition. Was during the summer, but Brian Lynch, he's pretty sharp with the layoff, and you got Julian Leparoux in the saddle.
Oh, absolutely. I think the drop is going to be pretty key, and it is a little bit after 2 races in special weight, right down to the 20. It's a pretty big drop in here. But that being said, he's clearly had a couple of question marks. Gelded before his first start, even though he cost $25,000. Debuted in June at Churchill, came back in August. We haven't seen him since then, so he's clearly had a couple of bumps along the road. That said, it was on a yielding turf course at Ellis Park last time out. And on the turf, going from maiden special weight to maiden claiming, this barn is about 28% in the win column, so some good moves there. I thought this might be the one to beat.
Well, the other horse you used on your early pick 5 ticket was that number 6 Mystery Guest, who's debuting locally after rallying to come within that neck of exiting the maiden ranks. Finishing second, it was against those 10 maidens on the Meadowlands turf. I found that those horses that have run for cheaper at the Meadowlands, I don't know what their purse structure was, they run okay here. And, of course, it's Jason Service with Arad Ortiz atop this Son of Giants Causeway.
I know. You look at this horse and you say, well, stepping up in class, but then you look at the connections and you see Irad taking the call, and it just seems like Jason Service really has his pulse in the Gulfstream Park meet and spotting horses as well. So I agree with you. I think even if you're a little bit hesitant with this one, it's one you have to use. I did take a look at a class dropper with Louis Saez aboard the 5 Noble Nebraskan, and we'll just backtrack to the last race for this horse because I wanted to show the start of the race, and I think the other 2 are probably the ones to beat, but this was back at Aqueduct, the number 4. Really bad trip at the start of the race, so that kind of took him out of contention early on. Some others kind of went forward, and it was against Tougher in New York on the turf there, so maybe we'll see a little bit more with Louis Saez up for Noble Nebraska.
Yeah, when I saw that you picked that horse, I actually went back and looked, and I said, boy, that's a pretty good stumble, so maybe that horse moves forward today, and like you said, good connections. That was against a little Tougher. Race 3 this afternoon. Turn the page here if I can get them apart. There you go. This one is a 1-mile claiming event. Fillies and mares 3 and up, non-winners of 3 in life, and here's your single, creative reward, and I can understand that when you're trying to have a affordable ticket.
I know, that was my feeling in here. I just felt like some of the other horses that I liked, I just didn't have as much to sink my teeth into. Vicky Apple stepping up in class a little bit. The 5 Miss Oliphant has been solid lately, but that was an off-the-turf race last time out, so I did land on creative award, but I know you've got a stat you want to show.
Yeah, for Bobby DeBona, with horses going sprint to a route, claimers on the dirt, he's 5 for 20, 25%, 60% in the money, and he's got that nice positive return of investment, and he's smiling about that Saturday. You could hear me right now, and that's over the last 5 years. So, you know, I thought this one, the sophomore has run well in the past when stretching out from a sprint to a route. If you look at this horse's past performance, he won it once, and I think he was second or something the other time. You're talking about Miss Oliphant, who's stepping up to the next level today after drawing. She beat only 4 rivals, but she did rather impressively. That was by 7 lengths, but it was the one move from the turf to the main track, so they were trying to get her on the turf. She won impressively, but you got to be careful when you see these horses with a 5-horse field. So it looks like she just went to the lead and ran away.
And sometimes those off-the-turf races are hard to gauge moving forward with main track horses because she was running largely against turf-meant horses as far as main track meant horses. So that's a little bit of the question, but absolutely no qualms with how she did it last time. She was very impressive, and I feel even better about my single after seeing that stat, so I'm smiling along with Bobby DeBona.
Let's go to race number 4 today. This one is a 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. So we got most of the turf races early on in the card. This one, a 1 mile and a 16th. Maiden claimers 2-year-olds, $50,000 down to $40,000. And I'll kick it off because I got my long shot in here. I wish the 5 didn't scratch in this race. I would have gotten a better price. That's Violent Temper. But Realtor Danny D is stretching out to 8.5 furlongs on the 1 mile and a 16th. Going to wear blinkers today after showing some late interest when finishing. Was sort of mid-pack last time against this very familiar competition. It's a son of big drama, and I thought this horse was worth a look at the price, especially with Paco Lopez at the controls. I like the blinkers. I like what they're doing. I think this horse is going to be better than it was last time.
And especially this barn, you like to see them have a couple of races under their belt. They seem to improve with experience on the track. So getting the blinkers on, in fact, the full brother to R. Kinsley Dahl, who is a multiple stakes winner here at Gulfstream as well. I agree with you. I actually added that one on the bottom of my ticket before I knew it was your long shot, but I'm just excited to see the long shot video with those gold shoes.
Those shoes are pretty sharp.
They're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Sharp,
they're in our office, so I'm just waiting for them to come out for some other big day.
Yeah, well, see, maybe on Halloween or something like that.
That's good. The number 4 Budget Buster, I wanted to show his last last race, and Ron and I were talking about this before we came on. It was pretty much everything that could happen to a horse seemed to happen in this race. This is going into the first turn. He's the number 7. And it ends up getting really rank in here. And the jockey was Paco Lopez that day, just having a really hard time holding on to him. So he gets a little bit rank, had to sit down in the saddle a little bit, and that's on the first turn. Does what seems to be the right thing, keeping him out in the clear. Now we're going to go into the final turn. Actually moving okay, keeping him away from horses in here. And then he just decides to go out to the outside rail, completely blows the turn in here. Again, just being hard to handle. And you see me just even goes off to the screen. He pulled what Ron Nicoletti likes to call going to the popcorn stand.
It looked like he tried to go to the popcorn stand there. It was the weirdest race ever.
It was very odd, yeah.
So, but to see him come back and, you know, he's got to work since then. Jose Ortiz will be in the saddle today. I think he's the one to beat. I mentioned my long shot in there. The other horse that we both had some interest in was the 10, Rep Store Rocks. This one is stretching out to the mile in the 16. Really responded well to the drop down in maiden claim ranks with that late closing fourth against maidens up at Aqueduct. So maybe the pace gets hot with Realtor Danny D now wearing the blinkers and other horses, and Budget Buster keeps a straight course. Maybe this horse grabs a share.
I like it with Louis Sainz, and finally the 9 Heroes return. I thought was interesting for Mike Trombetta back on the turf and taking a drop in class after facing special weight.
Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to show you our Stronach 5 tickets. That's right. Not only Friday the 13th, not only Beat the Expert, it's Stronach 5 Day. Join the excitement every Friday with the Stronach 5, with races from around the country. $100,000 guaranteed pool with the industry low 12% takeout. Catch the action from Gulfstream, Laurel, Santa Anita, and Golden Gate Fields. And welcome back for our 5th race of the afternoon. And, of course, besides we're going to show you our Stronach 5 tickets, but this is also where the Rainbow Six starts. Keisha's going to have a ticket in just a few moments here. But let's look at the Stronach 5. I guess we'll kick it off with my ticket first. I don't know what order we're in, but we can do that, I'm sure. I went too deep in the opening leg with the 8 and the 11, and this is up at our sister track, Laurel, with Townsend and the 9-5 favorite in there, Lady Kim. Second race, I used 3 horses in here, and I went with the 8, 9, and 11. And both occasions, I had to use the 9 Spicy Meatball because that horse is not beating me. Leg C, I think 5 and 6 are the logical 2 right here at Gulfstream Park. I don't know about California. I always get to me, so I went too deep with the 5 and 6. And I used the 5, 8. I used the number 15 on the ticket here. This one getting in, but I like John Service, the work he does. And I didn't want that horse sneaking in. He's been pretty good form to be on my ticket. So that is my ticket for $72. How much was yours?
Mine was 72 as well, and in fact, it looks very similar to yours as we bring up my ticket. I ended up using the same 2 horses at Laurel in the first race, 8 and 11. I included Spicy Meatball as well. The number 2 factored in, who I thought was going to be a pretty key horse in the 9th at Laurel, did end up scratching. That's the only scratch we have at Laurel for those 2 races in the sequence so far. Of course, check all the scratches before you put your tickets in. But using 8, 9, and 11 there, I went 1, 5, 6 in race 9 from Gulfstream. I'm really intrigued by Perfect Revenge for Stuart Simon coming in 8-1 on the morning line, a little bit of a price in there. I went too deep. I think a couple of first-time starters, just some good stats with the barns out at Golden Gate, so using the 6 and 7. And then I just used too deep to keep it more affordable in the nightcap here at Gulfstream. But I agree with you about the 15 getting in for John Service. Always take a look at those horses that come in off the also eligible list.
Yeah, and as Acacia said, make sure that you check the scratches before they come in. Low 12% takeout, $100,000 guarantee. It will be over that. And Pete calls it Overlay City because it usually pays some reason it seems like it always paid $8,000 every time. I actually hit one this year for $3,000.
I like it.
So I'm sort of eating $3,000 something. So I'm sort of even in there. But the Rainbow Six, we need money for this. So Acacia's going to tell us about her Rainbow Six ticket and get us out of this mess that we're in so far.
I've got a $32.40 ticket. You see that nice kid carryover just to start 316,000 or so. Again, 3 deep here in race number 5. I thought an interesting race actually to kick things off. My single in the Rainbow Six comes in race number 8 with Flashing Diamond on the rail. Same kind of thing, just looking through the sequence and not having a ton of faith in some of the others and trying to keep it more affordable. Flashing Diamond for Steve Clasera stretching back out to what should be her preferred distance. 3 deep, again, the same horses I used on the Stronach 5 in race 9 and the 2 in race 10 for 32.40.
Yeah, that's 6 horse. A lot of people use that 6 horse in race 10, which I did not use. So now we'll take a look at this 5th race, which is a sprint, 6 furlong maiden claimers, 3 and up, 12-5 here. And number 8, our boy Evans or Evans. I think it's Evans. It looks like it's
Evans.
Yeah, I used on top. Was sitting, shifting to the main track today. Duel for the lead, finished second when facing those 12-5 maidens, going 5 furlongs on the Gulfstream Park West turf. I like when Georgina Baxter goes from grass to dirt. She's about 27%. And that was my thought process by putting the 1 on top of my ticket.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, picking up Jose Ortiz in there as well. I thought the number 1, Blessed by the Best, was a bit intriguing off the claim for Jorge Delgado. And we have a stat to show you as well. This is for this barn on the dirt. First off the claim with horses in the money last time out. So some really good numbers here for a relatively new barn here in South Florida. 32% win and 57% of the time in the money. Just about even ROI. But again, some good numbers there, and Tyler Gaffleone going to be aboard.
Yeah, no, you have the 1 a ticket for all the reasons you mentioned. You saw my Rainbow Six. I'm going to use the same 3, actually, that you did. The other one, risk for reward, drop it to this level. Turning back, Ralph Nix is going to keep it live. He's got the apprentice, Alberto Burgos, 7-pound apprentice, in the saddle today. So that is where all that stuff starts. Not the Stronach 5. It starts a little later, but we showed you the ticket after the break. Let's go to race number 6. 6 furlong sprint. Claimers, fillies and mares, 3 and up. And this one for $12,500. And this is where the late pick 5 starts. And I went too deep in here with the number 1 horse, Arcelor. And I thought the 4, the big favorite, Tuesday's Rose, would have to be on my ticket. Too deep with Reward the Miracle, very amusing in the next leg. And Flashing Diamond, for all the reasons you mentioned, looks like the 1 beat, runs well when stretching out. And you see the rest of the progression. And there's that number 15 that I threw in my ticket.
You don't see that color on there a lot.
No. So $48 ticket for me. Now, how'd you start the 6th?
I actually did not use Tuesday's Rose. I was probably a little bit tough on her. I just thought at this level a little bit tricky to make it 3 races in a row. I was tough. I should have included her on there somewhere looking back, but I was just really intrigued by the number 2, Princess Latina. First off the claim for Jose Gallegos. This horse was beaten last time out, but for condition 16 claimers at Gulfstream Park West, and had been in very good form. In fact, running against and winning against a little bit tougher in the summer. So I thought that this was a nice spot for this horse. And besides the later horses, we have totally different on-top horses. So we've got you've got a little bit of a closer, and I've got a little bit more of a speed horse. So we'll see how things play out in this race.
Yeah, that's what Tuesday's Rose, a 7-time local winner, returned. She posted a 3rd consecutive victory. She rallied. I just see a ton of speed in here. She's a horse for course play. I think she sits a real good trick. Arcelor and Distinctive Lady on our ticket will go to race number 7. And it is very amusing. No, that's the horse I have on top. We'll talk about race number 7. And that is 6 furlongs. Claim is 3 and up. Onward of 3 in life. I went with the 7. Very amusing. We'll start there.
That's named after you.
Huh?
It's named after you.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, but I try not to be, but I am. This one moved to Jorge Delgado, barn after the claim, steps up. Drew Clear defeated those 2 lifetime claimers, going 6.5 furlongs across town at Gulfstream Park West. Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Thought it was a good race. I'm putting this one on top.
I agree with you. I think that he has every reason to be in there. I used the number 3, Silent Tiger, who was actually a little bit of a price on the morning line, so I'm hoping I get this kind of price for him. I think off the claim, freshened up since that last race at Gulfstream Park West, plus picking up a Misael Jaramillo. I thought that was going to be a real key for him as well.
Yeah, and this one in the Najib Abu Hadia barn. We've been trying to say that.
Yeah.
I've been practicing that one. We've been ignoring saying his name until I hope we got it right. If you're out there, Tell us if we're right or not, Najib. And I know that I got that part. Show your stat on the one horse that we both use somewhere on a ticket, and that's Reward the Miracle. This is for Safi Joseph Jr. with horses going from turf to dirt, sprints, claimers. He's 7 for 31, 23%, 48% in the money. 152 is the return of investment. So I had this one in second. You had a little further down on the ticket. Drop it to this level. Trio of clunkers on the turf. So this one's really got to wake up on the main track. And he's got the apprentice, Alberto Burgos. Maybe this one steals it.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And looking towards the start of his career on the dirt at different tracks, I was actually facing stakes competition, so there was some high hopes for him at the start. So we'll see if he can recapture some of that form.
Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. Once again, these papers are sticking, but we got to go in here. This one, 1 mile allowance, optional claim. These are state-bred fillies and mares, and this is Flashing Diamond. I think this horse's race to lose.
Yeah, I think so too. And looking at this filly by Corfu, she's been in solid form. Her last couple of races were fine, but I do think that stretching back out to the mile distance, she's 6 for 8 in the money at this distance, 3 of those victories, and it's been very good since being claimed for the Claceris barn. Picking up I read Ortiz in here today, like her getting back to the mile, and she's also shown that she is probably better when she can dictate the pace, but she can kind of run to her competition no matter how the race plays out too.
Yeah, and she's always runs well when she stretches out from her sprint to her route, which she's doing today. As we mentioned, she's going to try the mile for the Claceris barn. IRAD certainly adds to the appeal. Now, the 5 horse, I'm not going to tell you who that's named after. This one finished second in front of Flashing Diamond last time out. Stretches out to 8 furlongs, hasn't won at the distance, even though this one finished in front of Flashing Diamond. 0 for 4 at the distance with a couple of thirds or fourths, whatever it is.
She's definitely been a little bit of a head scratcher, certainly, just looking at her recent races. She's been right there in several of them sprinting, but hasn't been able to really take that next step forward. She is just 1 for 16 versus somebody like Flashing Diamond, who's an 8-time winner, I think makes a little bit of difference.
Yeah, I threw in Jolie Bay, moving to the Susan Ditter barn after the claim returns from the layoff, finished 4th against those 16 condition claimers, going to 2-turn mile. Thought maybe that one can grab a little bit at a price.
I like it.
Yeah, let's go to race number 9 this afternoon. It's a 1 mile starter optional claimer for 2-year-olds. They started for 50 or less, so that optional claiming price of $50,000. And I went with the number 5, Yes for Less, but let's start it off with Perfect Revenge.
Well, we're going to go back to, actually, we're going to go up to Woodbine, and we're going to show you this replay. I wanted to show the break. It's a little hard to see sometimes because it is a blizzard there that day. But the number 5, you see the 5 just got kind of the yellow cap, or dark yellow cap, got really bumped back towards the start of the race. And it's a compact field. Sometimes that's a little bit tough, especially for younger horses, just a 2-year-old there. This was the last one. And now we're going to pick it up at the quarter pole. When they come around, you'll be able to see them a little bit better in the snow. But he's off the pace in here and ends up coming to get second in this race. I thought pretty game to go between horses, especially all things considered with the weather and everything like that. So going to get on conventional dirt for the first time in here today. But we've seen Stuart Simon do very well too, shipping horses down here to Florida. I like that he's had to work at Palm Meadows to get acclimated as well.
Yeah, and Jose Ortiz in the saddle today. Yes, Stuart does a very good job. And all I can say is, look pretty cold. Look pretty cold up there that day. I did go with the horse you have in second on top of my ticket, and that's Yes for Less, who's going back to the main track. Really solid campaign on the turf in which he finished second in a pair of those 35 optional claimers and was 4th in that $75,000 juvenile turf in his last. Fernando Abreu is the trainer. Luis Saez handling the surface switch. You know I'm a sucker for, turf to dirt. That's why I went that one. And I think this one fits the bill perfectly in here.
I totally agree with you. Luis Saez is going to climb aboard too, and I thought the 6, I'm More Ready, though has only ever been on the turf and trying the dirt for the first time in here today, has actually run some solid races. Last time out winning for 50, and now the fact that they're putting him on the dirt, I think they certainly saw something, and also the fact that Irad Ortiz climbs aboard.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like one of those horses that all the angles I like in there, but I could understand Perfect Revenge coming from that blizzard to sunny South Florida.
A little bit of a change for him, just a little bit.
Well, race number 10 is a mile on the turf. The claim is fillies and mere 3 and up. Nonwood is a 2 in life, and we did have a couple of significant scratches in here, and I
Yeah.
scratched into the horse. I don't know if you had this one on top. I did originally.
I did, yeah, me too. I had Regal Romance. I had Elite Appeal in second in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's
so
out of the race.
Regal Romance stretching out to the mile, rallied to finish second when facing similar quality. Crosstown, 7.5 furlongs. Lily Curtners, who does an excellent job, claimed this one a couple of starts back. Irad Ortiz Jr. in the saddle. I thought it was the one to beat in here. I'm afraid of that 6-horse. Everybody seems to have used the 6-horse.
I know. Regal Romance is actually 8-1 on the morning line, and even before the scratch, I didn't think you were going to get anything near that. And especially now, I think that she's going to be bet down, but I agree. I think she's the one to beat. I did use the 6 Sweepino for Francisco D'Angelo. Just the fact this horse has been really right there in what's, I think, actually kind of comparable competition to what she's facing in here today. So taking a shot with this one who's been kind of knocking on the door and had been in pretty respectable form as well. And then Tennessee Cotton for the same reason towards the outside.
Yeah, stretching out to a mile after rallying to finish second was only beaten at neck. And the number 15 in here, which occasion putting forth, it's more about John Service than the last race. You know, it just looks like, you know, needed that race off the layoff. And just a horse like this, I've seen it 1,000 times, gets in off the also eligibility and list and runs well. And I didn't want to be beat by this horse. Oh, I added it to my late pick 5 ticket. I didn't go that deep, you know, the races, but I just didn't want to get beat by that horse. So the Stronach 5 starts a little later on. Fast main track, good turf course. Anything else before we head out?
Don't forget to play Beat the Expert. You've got about a little bit more than half an hour to get your picks in. You'll find all my picks online on the Gulfstream Park website. Hope you're joining us, and we've got a great couple days coming up of racing.
We do. As you mentioned, tomorrow, 5 stakes. So it just gets more fun and more fun every day. So
Absolutely does.
good luck, everybody.